Ladies and gentlemen, nieces and nephews, welcome back to another episode of Too Good to Be Drew. I'm your host, Drew Davis, and welcome back. We're here for another Monday. It's good to see you guys. Good to have you guys stop in. Trying to do these episodes consistently for y'all. We've been doing a good job thus far, and we are now jumping into the 40s when it comes to episodes. So we're almost to episode 50. So you hang around, and we're going to reach that milestone together here, probably at the end of this month, start of next month. But as we first jump into this episode, we're going to talk about Denzel's latest movie, Highest to Lowest. Then we're going to talk about one of the best things in the world that a lot of people will say is Disney World slash land. I'm kind of on the outside of that. And then at the end of this episode, we'll get into a question from Ask Drew from one of our viewers and listeners. And for guys, for everybody listening to this, we are now, you can still write in. You can still write in via email or go onto my website and type it in a question. But we also have, I ain't going to say a voicemail line. We have a way for you to leave a voicemail, and that'll be at the top of the show notes. Click that, record your message. It'll come right to me if you want to hear that on the show. And I would like to get back, or I would like to get into doing more advice calls or listening to more listeners' calls and being able to give more feedback on that. When I first got into building this podcast, it's something that was very high on the list, being able to come in here and actively coach or give advice to people who are in need of some help. And so hopefully that can start to pick up as we get going. But by all means, if you're a friend, if you know me, if you don't know me, please leave me a voicemail that we can get into and we can start taking up some time, some beneficial time on the show with that. But more so than that, I wanted to keep digging into what I'm doing so you guys can get a better idea of me as a person, but just also some regular banter that you would probably have with friends, with family. Because if you know me, or as you get to know me, I really like things like movies. I like music. I like shows. I like jazz. I like music. I like reading. So a lot of that stuff. But I also want to make it beneficial. But I feel that letting you guys in a little bit more and more just shows my personality and just allows me to sit here and be able to give a great show. So, first of all, welcome back to another episode of Too Good to Be Drew. And I'm sure I said that at the beginning, but just in case, I didn't want to be like my boy Ed Jones and be jumping into my episodes and forget to even introduce myself. But as we get into it, highest to lowest, the newest movie starring Denzel Washington, ASAP Rocky, a couple other people sprinkled off in there. And I went and saw it last night, got back, went to see the 7 p.m. show, had to go buy some tickets earlier. And I think it's just crazy how far we've come. And I mean that in a way of it's so crazy how far we've come. I just can't believe how far we've come. And this is gonna sound a little bit snobbish of me and a little bit just highbrow of me, but I can't believe we used to really go to the movies and buy a ticket. We used to like go in the morning to buy a ticket for an evening show to make sure we had a ticket. Or we used to show up a couple hours early to make sure we bought a ticket. And then on top of that, check this out, check this out. On top of that, we literally had to, it was like Hunger Games. We had to go into a movie with no assigned seat and fight over movies and chairs and holding and reserving seats for your friends. Like we used to really be on some Katniss Everdeen Hunger Games stuff. Like, can you imagine that? Can you it's hard for me to even think about. But I had to go, my girlfriend had these movie vouchers and Highest to Lowest wasn't playing at the major at shoot 90% of theaters. So we have a Regal theater that's close by where we're at. Girlfriend had some ticket vouchers, so use those to go get free tickets because we're AMC stub members. Sounds real high and bougie of me to say that too. But we're AMC stub members, so we only really go to AMC, pay about almost $30 a month. You buy AMC stubs, you go once a month, you see one IMAX movie. It's well worth the cost for what they charge for a movie these days. But I digress. So I go pick up the tickets for this movie. First of all, Regal little ticket kiosk is trash. Spent like 20 minutes there trying to put in these little vouchers. The screen kept freezing. It's super sensitive. So it was clicking on movies I wasn't even clicking on. And then just outside of that, I was just like, wow. Like I have the AMC app at the tips of my fingertips. So I usually just pull that out. Okay, what time we going? Okay, what movie? All right, where you want to sit? Bam, bam. Okay, cool. Bam, all that's done. And if you want to switch seats or cancel before the movie, it's just as easy as that. But these are first world problems. Anyway, highest to lowest. Newest movie with Denzel Washington, ASAP Rocky. I'm trying to think of who else was really standing out in there. Oh, what is his name? I don't even know his name. Dean, I think it's Dean Winters or something. The Mayhem guy, the Allstate Mayhem guy. The whole movie, I'm trying to figure out, is this him? Because if you guys know, once you get on them commercials, them Allstate commercials that's been coming on for like 10 years now, they're not doing updated and older versions of him. So this was him in a movie, and he was a little bit. Nah, he was old. You look old. And I'm over here. I keep looking sideways, like, is it that? Is that the Allstate dude? Is that Mayhem? I'm like, I think it is. I don't know. I'm sure it is. I think it is. But not a lot of big names in this movie. There might be a lot of up and coming guy. My bad. Forgot about one of my favorite actors, Jeffrey Wright, who's really good, really great in his own respect. And a very interesting story about Jeffrey Wright. I was working at UCLA and we were playing the Oklahoma Sooners at home when they had Jalen Hurts way back in, I want to say it was either 2019 or 2020. No, it was 2019 or 2021, one of the two. And I remember somebody had told me, they were like, "Hey man, that one dude that played that was on Shaft is here." And I'm over here like, "What are y'all talking about?" They're like, "The one dude that was stabbing himself with the ice pick." And now I know him for that role. So I was like, "Jeffrey Wright?" So it's like, "Yeah, he's over there in some capris or something. He got these short pants on, he's showing off his ankle or whatever." So I took off. I'm like, "Hold on, let me go track this dude down. He's one of my favorite actors. Seen him in Westworld. I really started liking him when I was watching Boardwalk Empire. He was, I think it was like Dr. Narcisse, I think it was on there. Haven't seen that in forever. But just a really good actor and does really good work. So I found him on the sidelines and I walk up to him real cautiously because when I approach celebrities, and I'm not a celebrity, but one thing I know about being around famous people, athletes, and honestly, I can't even say famous people, but like athletes, is that low key, like just talk to us like regular human beings. Don't pull up on us. And I say us, don't pull up on them and fan out and be like, "Oh my God, it's you. Oh my God, what is it? I don't know what to do. Can I get autograph? My sister loves you." Blah, blah, blah. Start doing all that. Don't do that. The best thing for you to do is have your composure, walk up and be respectful, but also treat them like a person. So, mind you, he's in the middle of watching a football game. He's sitting right there on our sideline on like the right side of the box. So I go up to him and I go, "Hey, excuse me, Mr. Wright." Like I'm kind of in his vision, but not really. And he turns around and says, "Hey, what's going on?" Mind you, like I'm 6'2" and he's about 5'7", 5'8", maybe 5'7", 5'8", maybe. So I just kind of like make sure I'm non-threatening. But I'm like, "Hey, somebody told me you were here. I just wanted to come say hello. You're one of my favorite actors. I love the work you do." And he turns and he kind of starts talking to me. Mind you, there's a whole football game going on. And anybody that's been on the sidelines for football, you cannot just sit here and have a conversation with somebody because next thing you know, there's going to be a ball thrown your way, or there's going to be a safety or a wide receiver running into the sideline. And while you're sitting there talking and having a jolly conversation, you will get your head took off. So while he's talking to me, I'm interested in talking to him, but I'm also looking at what's going on the field. And he asked me like, "Oh, okay, what are you doing for work?" I was like, "Hey, I work for UCLA, but I used to play professional football too." And da, 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 da. And so we just had a very small conversation. I just wanted to make sure I went up, shook his hand, and just told him that he does awesome work because I'm not kind of a groupie and a fan like that. But also, I just wanted him to enjoy the game. This is not him at work. This is, celebrities like to unplug. They like to be with their families. Like, so if you come up asking for autographs and pictures when they're trying to live a regular life, some people it bothers them. Some people they're like, this is what comes with the job. But some people are like, "Yo, bro, I'm just here as a football fan watching the football game." And so it was good being able to talk to him and share that moment. But back to the movie. Spike Lee does great work. And I was watching the end of the film and it gets to the part where they go through all the credits. I stay for all the credits. And at the end, his emblem of, production company of 40 Acres and a Mule comes across the screen. And I looked at the bottom and it said established in 1979. So I'm like, man, Spike Lee been like really doing his thing since 1979. And for those that took Math 111 like me, 80 plus 20 gets us to 2000, gets us to year 2000, and then we're in year 25, so then that gets us 25 plus 20, 45. So add the 1. So 46 years Spike Lee has had his production company making movies, making impact. He's worked with Denzel numerous times on movies like Mo Better Blues, Malcolm X, Inside Man. Those are the 3 I can name off the top of my head. I'm sure there's about 3 or 4 more, but, like, this is one of the great combinations of actors, one of the greatest actors of our generation and one of the greatest filmmakers of our generation, and being able to see them work. Denzel's, I think, in his 70s now, so he only has a couple films left in him, but being able to see this and enjoy it, it was one of my favorite things. Now, I'm not gonna give you any spoilers here, but Denzel carries a lot of the movie only because, like I said, a lot of the people that are in there, I don't know about them. I don't know of them as actors, um, but they held their own. But the thing I've noticed since I've gone to acting school and I've studied film more, when you have a really great actor who's on the screen and you have other actors who either aren't as great as him or aren't as polished as him, like you can really see, the levels to like how good he is. And granted, other people were probably either early in their acting career or, novice, or maybe that acting on being on scene or on camera with Denzel was like, oh shoot, here's Denzel Washington. Like I'm on, in a movie with him with scenes with him. But you can just really tell that like his acting is like head and shoulders above everybody else. And I've been around guys like that as far as football players. And I'll talk about like Julio Jones. Like I will there's never a point in my career where I was like, "Man, I'm better than Julio." And it was no knock on myself, but it was like there are just some people who the game comes easier to them. He was built big and shifty and was able to run as fast as anybody else and was able to stop as quick as everybody else, being as big as he is. So that's the same thing I think about when I think about Denzel Washington. And so getting into that movie, Denzel carries it. He's, I mean, Denzel's a force when he's on screen. And it was good seeing him in this executive music mogul type role, but also his family dynamic of him and his wife and his son and what they were going through for that movie. And his son gets kidnapped in the movie. So that's kind of what the movie is focused on. And he's going through some things business wise as well. But the movie's very good. The movie's good. I'll take off the very. The movie's good. Between the combination of Denzel's acting and Spike Lee's camera angles and the score, the music, it is what it is. Like I said, we're getting to the point where they probably don't have a lot of movies left in them. So this is one of those ones that'll be up there as far as yeah, we did that movie, we worked together for umpteenth time, and this is a story I really wanted to tell. And anybody that knows Spike Lee and realizes Spike Lee's the way he makes movies is, he's always going to show love to New York. He's always going to give you that New York feel because he's from New York. He's going to give you that, Yankees and he's going to give you the Yankees and the Knicks, and he's going to talk about how much the Boston Celtics sucks and how much the Red Sox suck. He's going to give you that little sports piece and that cultural piece. And in this movie, there's a real nice scene with they're having a Puerto Rican Day parade, and there's music, and they're celebrating, and there's flags, and you could just feel the energy from that point. I'm not gonna sit here and bloviate too much on it, but Highest to Lowest was a good movie. I liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Like I said, the score was good. Denzel was great. The camera angles are one thing I really, really loved. And Spike is known for a couple angles that he is known for. He's known for a couple angles that he does. But there's one scene on there that I really, really liked, and there was a balcony they had in their penthouse suite, and they had a couple conversations out there on their balcony. It was a pretty sacred space. You could see Denzel talking on the phone out there. Denzel was talking to his wife out there. Denzel's talking to his driver and his friend out there. And the couple times the camera follows them out to the balcony, but there's a couple times where the camera stays inside and you can kind of see whoever's outside and them having conversation or just some physical touch or just somebody that's out there thinking, and it acts as an insulated sound where like it cuts off the sound. So sometimes you don't really hear what's going on outside, and sometimes it's just like, you might hear, a small conversation where they flip to it and go to the outside. But Spike is just a master and masterful with everything he does with camera angles, with going from a wide to a close to this to that. I don't know all the camera angles that he could possibly be, but it was a good movie, and it's not going to be in theaters for too long. It's going to pop up on Apple TV really soon. So I hope when it does that you guys check it out. But one thing about me, I love to go see movies, and we're in a very pivotal point in movie going history, because a lot of the things that are being made are remakes. A lot of things are, what'll exactly make money, so they're not necessarily new ideas. And a director and filmmaker like Spike, who, goes for funding for his movies, but he's going to come at it from a lens of a black perspective and black main characters and protagonists and stuff like that. But he's also been in the game so long that when he talks about ideas or brings stuff up, people listen to him, because he has this reputation and resume as a filmmaker for good movies that he's done well with and created over time. So once again, that's highest to the lowest. ASAP Rocky's in there as well. But just a good movie. The score is always good. Anybody know anything about Spike? His scores are always off the chain. And one of my favorite movies is He Got Game, and the movie and the music in there from start to finish, with the London Orchestra Sympathy. I still play that song all the time when Denzel is playing against Ray Allen at the end, and they're playing for, what they're playing for is for Ray Allen assigned to the school that Denzel needs him assigned to, so he can get his sentence shortened. And that's another one, they were in the same one. Spike and Denzel were in He Got Game, or did He Got Game together. So that's another one to add to the list. But it's just amazing to think about that these two have been working together for so long. So when you get a chance, check out this movie. My experience with it was good. Everybody in the theater behaved, which sometimes, is a problem and people just do their own thing. But everyone was well behaved and on their best behavior for this one. And this week, I get to celebrate my godson's very first birthday, and we're going to the greatest place on earth, which is Disneyland. And as you can hear my voice, I don't necessarily love Disneyland. I'll go there. I don't like being around all those people and those kids that are running around, hopped up on cotton candy and churros, and the people that are in the way on their phone. And just, ever since the pandemic, people have just, they, I don't know. There's a flip that switch where everybody just does what they want to. There's this sense of individualism. There's no need for personal space, or there's just all this crazy stuff. But we're going to celebrate Silas's very first birthday at Disneyland. And my homeboy Terrell knows all about Disneyland. He goes every week. He probably got a season pass. They probably got his picture of him and his family up in there that they go so much. He got every pair of Mickey ears that you can possibly buy. So like Terrell got it on lock. So I don't have it nearly as that good. But yeah, I just bought my ticket this morning. So we go this week. So we're going to be able to enjoy that. And hopefully Silas has fun on his very first birthday. But as everybody knows, hold on, wait, more so than I don't dig theme parks. I don't really dig rides like that. Like, I'll go on a ride every now and then. And when I started dating my girlfriend, like, she's the one that likes to go on the rides. Like, and we had this conversation where I was like, yo, like, why do you be screaming on roller coasters like you're having fun? And she's like, because I am having fun. Like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, when I'm screaming on a roller coaster, it's because I'm scared. Because my big self being in this small confined space where I feel like I'm slipping out when we go upside down and around and inside out and all this other stuff, that ain't fun to me. I'm like, so you over here screaming like you're enjoying it, and I'm over here like, man, I hope we get off this mug alive. Those are the differences with me. And so you combine my not so much love of roller coasters with the need of not being around a lot of people and getting annoyed with people a little bit easier. Disneyland isn't the best place for me. But we're going for a good reason. And so hopefully he enjoys it. But just to let y'all know, when y'all hear some griping and complaining from me this week, just know it's because I was at Disneyland. And I said we were going to do a better job at getting to questions and getting into questions and having this segment called Ask Drew, where I'm able to respond to people who send in questions or voicemails to the link that is in the show notes. But as we dive into it, I've had this question for a little while, and it'll be good for me to get to it and talk about it. For those that have questions, you can go through my website, drewjaydavis.com. go to the contact page and it'll allow you to write in whatever question you might have. Or you can go in the show notes and click on the link that says, I think it says send a voicemail or leave a voice message or something like that, and we'll get to it. But I wanted to have these conversations more. I wanted to help a lot of people that are in need of some help. So if you're an athlete, if you're a person, if you're struggling going through a situation that you kind of want some coaching or advice in, call, leave the message. If you're a parent and it's about your kids, like call and leave the message. Like at the end of the day, if I'm gonna most likely get to it. And if you hear what I charge for an appointment for a consultation or a discovery session for us to start working together, then you would rather jump at this opportunity to leave a voicemail for me and just ask a question for inquisitive minds that want to know. And so this question I have is from, not even going to say the name, but what are some of the most common things you encounter while coaching and some of the guidance you give them? So I think it's funny. We live in a world, and I think, and I was guilty of this when we went through the pandemic, where there were a lot of people that were second guessing their career or their life path or their trajectory of things that they were working towards. And so a lot of that is a lot of fear-based stuff. So a lot of fear of, hey, I want to do this, but I don't think it's the right time. Or where they're looking at, their purpose in life and they're saying, I've been working this job for 5 years and I just look up and I really don't feel like I have anything to show for it. So I would say the biggest two things I probably face are the fear of going outside of the box and doing something different than they've been doing for X amount of time. And then also people that are still looking to find their passion. And I think the pandemic did it to us because everybody was at home and they were thinking a lot more, or you unfortunately got laid off of a job or got your hours cut or got furloughed or whatever it might have been. And it made you really think like, yo, do I want to do this? Or man, I thought I was only going to be in this job for 6 months and a year or a year. And now I'm going on year 10 and I feel like, am I stuck here? The advice I give them and when I'm working with them, I try to like uncover the things that they feel that they're missing. So a person that says they're fearful of jumping out and doing something that they think they want to do. And one thing I ask them is, how can we jump out and do this in a smaller capacity? It doesn't have to be that you leave this job and go and search for another job. It's maybe you still work this job, but maybe you go back to school for a couple hours a week. Maybe you pick up a hobby doing that thing that you said you were a little bit interested about. Maybe I give them some homework to go research, the career they might want to do, what it takes to get there, how much it might cost, what degree or what kind of experience is needed for them to make that jump. And we start to get the ball rolling on ideas that if they want to pursue this or if they think this is the way they need to go, then we just start really digging into it. And for people that are trying to find their passion or their purpose, it's a little bit easier for me because it's a little bit easy to identify what we're passionate about and what we want to work towards. And it still takes some digging, but it takes digging in a good way where you're like, it allows people to be a kid again. And this is what I mean when I say that. We've spent so much time as grown-ups that we forgot exactly what we wanted to do when we were kids. Luckily for me, the thing that I wanted to do since the around the second or third grade was to play professional football. And so as a kid growing up and I felt that way in elementary school and middle school and high school and college, I could still feel that. And it got a little bit more, business oriented as you got older because it was like, okay, well, this doesn't just come from wishing. Like it took going to the weight room, going on the practice field, like balling in the game. It took things like that. But I was able to hold on to that for a long time to know what I wanted to do. And even while I was playing, I felt like I was a kid doing it, getting able to run around and play around with my teammates and catch a football, something that I've been doing since I was like, well before 8, but that I really remember starting to do at the age of 8 when we played organized football. But also, a thing that I wanted to be outside of a football player was like a detective. And once I found out you kinda had to be a cop before you could be a detective, I was like, "Nah, I'm off that." But I wanted to, be a detective because I wanted to, like, put my mind to good use on solving hard stuff, and essentially that's what it was. And for me, it was the satisfaction of being able to solve something that was difficult for other people or just having a certain view of something that allowed you to think differently than other people. And so knowing that, I think that's why I fell into life coaching. I like to give people advice. I'm a good listener. but I'm helping people solve their problems, or I'm helping bring clarity. And I don't want to say solve problems because that'll entail that there is a definite problem to be solved. But you're helping people get to where they want to go in life, get these feelings of what they've been missing, or just areas that they want more clarity and more production in, just a whole bunch of things like that. And so that gives me that kid feeling. Most of us as adults, we forget what that's like. And if I asked you today, what did you want to be growing up? I'm pretty sure there would be a smile that came across your face, or you would start laughing and be like, "Oh, this is going to be embarrassing." But man, I used to just want to, go to Mars and be an astronaut, which is very valid. And just by your answer, I've gotten the sense that, like, oh, this person think that's silly. Like, oh, this person thinks that's still far fetched from, what they're actually doing in life now. When essentially, like, that little kid in you wanted to be that for a specific reason. So digging down and really trying to find like the why behind it. And if that dream is still alive, but you just think it's impossible. So like that's why it's laughable. That's something that pops up for me as far as, what I try to do to help them and the guidance that I give them is to see if we can discover that. Because there are so many people that are walking around unhappy with their life, their situation, their circumstances, their job, their career, but they don't take the time to actively do something to fix it because they think it's too late. So my job is to be able to provide hope from framework that it isn't too late, but also discovering what it is that they've kind of suppressed and put deep down and covered over and said that this will never happen. So maybe we can pull that out of the grave a little bit, shake it off. And even if we don't go and become an astronaut, but maybe we take a couple classes that gets our gears going and we realize that, yo, it's okay. I thought it was being an astronaut, but it's learning about space. It's really like, these other things where you could probably work at a museum or something like that. Like something like that that's a little bit more, I guess, achievable in quotations. And I say that loosely because there's not like there should be something that's the end goal. But that it's something that somebody's like, "Wow, I didn't know exactly how achievable this is for me." And I think that's the biggest thing, to get them to see whatever you want to be and the problems that you're going through and the person that you can come out to on the other side isn't the worst thing in the world or isn't the hardest thing in the world. And so thank you for that question again. And then once again, it was, what are some of the most common things you encounter while coaching and some of the guidance you give them? Just people that are unsure and afraid of what direction they want to go in. And I just try to do the job of unlayering those and figuring out exactly what those are, and then diving into them with the person if they want to work together on how they can achieve these things and a process and a system to put in place for them to get there. So once again, that is this segment of Ask Drew. Thank you for that question. And as we get close to winding down the show, if you want to send your questions in, go to the show notes. That link will take you exactly where you need to go to leave a voicemail, or you can go to the website, www.drewjdavis.com. And like that, on a Monday, we out of here. Stay healthy, everybody.